Hello and welcome to On the Record. I'm your host, Jerome Sawyer, and today we're coming to you from on location at the Malia All-Inclusive Resort on Cable Beach, the site of the 2019 Torchbearers Convention. Torchbearers Youth Association was started within the Free National Movement back in 1972 during a general election campaign by 5 young men who saw the need for social change at the time. It was the first youth wing of a political party in the Bahamas. It has produced a number of past and current cabinet ministers. This group has also seen fit to host separate conventions over the years as a way to speak to the issues that are important to young people, as well as to the party, as well as speaking to some national issues. Over the next hour or so, we will hear from members of the Torchbearers Youth Association, known to them as TYA, as well as we're going to talk to some speakers who are going to be taking the platform here. All of this is a part of the association's two-day convention. In the first portion of the show, I'm very happy to have as my guest Danielle Miller, the convention committee chair, and Mitchell Thurston. He is the Eastern District Association's chairman, as well as a speaker coming up at this convention. So thank you all for coming to On the Record, and certainly thanks for accommodating us in this space. Why does this organization see the need to hold a convention at this time?
It's important for us to hold a convention at this time because the government is doing so much concerning the country's young people, from the different grants that they have in place to start your own business, like the Be Inspired, Be Your Own Boss, to even the COB, which you're getting free tuition, as well as free tuition at UB, and also mandatory fees as well waived. So all of these things that are going on in our society, sometimes the good can get drowned out, or if it comes from a messenger that you really can't level off with, the message gets lost. So the party found it important that the young people take this initiative of holding a convention to inform the country what all is going on in the party when it comes to its young people.
So I have to ask, what is the difference between a Torchbearers Youth Association convention and a national convention?
Okay, one difference is there's no voting.
Okay.
So there's no voting at the Torchbearers Youth Convention. What we do in the day session, at our closed sessions, is we have trainings. And those training teaches TYA members what is the next step beyond TYA. Because I think that's what a lot of organizations, not just political, but a lot of organizations miss that chance to do succession planning. And that's what we take advantage of with the day sessions in TYA. So we have members from across the Bahamas in every constituency represented here today. And we're doing that succession planning. So when we go on beyond TYA age bracket, we're able to assist the party within the associations or within the national party running for those bigger positions. So that's what we do in the day sessions. And then the evening sessions, we get a little bit fun and we add that excitement, that entertainment, as well as a list of lineup of youth speakers. And Jerome, all of our speakers, with the exception of one, and of course the ministers, are under the age of 30. So that's a big deal. That's a huge deal.
Mitchell, you are one of those speakers.
Yeah.
I'm scheduled to speak on Friday. Eh?
Yes.
What message are you bringing, and why was it important for you to take this platform?
Before I get to your question, Mr. Sawyer, I'd like to say thank you for having both of us, and thank you for coming to our youth convention. It's an honor to be on a show that I am a big fan of.
Well, thank you.
Thank you so
for
much.
accommodating
Yes,
us.
yes.
Yes, we appreciate it.
So, on Friday, I'll be speaking on the economy. I am an economist. I just completed my master's in applied economics, and it's something that I did because I'm passionate about it. So naturally, I was asked to speak on that topic for the convention. I won't get into the nitty-gritty because I want you to watch.
For
But-
sure. Well, I do have some questions about the economy, which we're going to get
That's
to.
no problem. But
Okay.
some of the things that we will definitely speak on is naturally the Small Business Development Center, the Over the Hill Initiative, and things of that nature that gets to the common man rather than just, as some may have the misconception, the top of the economy.
But and that is a misconception that people have about the Free National Movement, that it is a party for
The elite.
the elite,
Right.
and the talent to 10, the top 10. How do you respond to that?
By example.
Yeah, it's
By
honestly
example.
very unfortunate that that's a misconception that people have, because we in the Free National Movement are a party of doing, a party of creating, a party of correcting issues that were problems in the country from time immemorial. You look around and you can look from the roads to now the fixed dump to actual change in the inner city, the Over the Hill initiative, things that constituencies that the opposition claim are their strongholds or were their strongholds that they did nothing for. We go inside those communities and we want to create that change. We do our best to make that change. We don't talk it, we do it. If we continue that trend that the opposition would have made in those inner city communities, where would we be? Where would our country be? Because without our inner city, where some of our most strongest and most successful people and citizens come from, we won't be anything. So you see programs like the Be Inspired program that Danielle mentioned, the Small Biz Development Center that many people will speak of because of its success. Those type of programs, going inside those communities and showing those constituents that you actually deserve better, you deserve a chance, you deserve to be anything you want to be, rather than just be talked to, rather than be sold a dream that the opposition
And
does.
that example is given with this Torchbearers Youth Convention. Like I mentioned, it's all about diversity within the FNM. We have every constituency represented here today, not just constituencies, persons from St. Anne's or persons from Laifiki. We have everyone represented. Even on the persons that would take that stage today, tomorrow night and today, we have somebody, actually three actually, from the Family Islands. You have Abaco, you have Grand Bahama, and then we have also Berry Islands represented. And even when it comes down to me as the convention chair, I'm sure a lot of people would say, well, who she know, or what her last name is, but my name carries no weight at all in this country. It's just me fighting to make a future for myself and for others to come.
I have to ask you about the theme of Future Secured, and also, the other thing I noticed, there was huge marketing for this.
Yes.
It was almost as I was looking at an actual election campaign. There are billboards everywhere.
Yes.
I have to say, from my perspective, I was impressed. But why so much effort into the marketing? And I wanted to also talk about the theme as well, and what's behind the theme.
The reason why the effort behind the marketing is because of the demographic that we are trying to reach. If you do not have proper marketing, that big explosive, that bang effect, then you're going to lose the interest of the young people. So we had to keep it exciting, we had to keep it spicy. We started out rolling out videos, flyers, and then all of a sudden, boom, we had billboards everywhere, and they were very eye-catching, and it drove into your head our theme, a future is secured, that makes you ponder the question, what are they talking about? And what we want to get across to the young people is that with the FNM, we will put in policies, we will do all that we can to ensure that our young people are able to survive in this country.
Now, you say put in place policies. We're looking
Yes.
at a government now that's been in office more than two and a
years.
half years. You're talking about putting in.
Right. Continue to put in.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then, okay, and I guess that's going to lead me now to my next question. What would you say are you most proud of that the FNM has done since coming to office?
Without a doubt, I would say it's two programs that I look at. One, the land reform initiative.
Why?
As well as the housing program. Since independence, there's been no leader of this country who took their power, which is by the stroke of a pen, and say, we are gonna fix this land situation and empower Bahamian citizens by giving them land. You've had both the Progressive Liberal Party and the Free National Movement's leaders in place who failed to do that. But this administration, this government said, you know what? We're gonna allow our people to have the same opportunities that all of us may have, some people may have. We're gonna give them wealth, real wealth, which is land. There's no truer wealth than land. So, as we saw in Anagua last week, you had people who are receiving their deeds, their land, some lands that they've lived on for years. but never were able to say, okay, I have the papers for this, or I can now make this, I can now have some collateral, I can use this. And to go even further, you start to think, well, hey, why wasn't this done before? Why? But this goes to show that this is the FNM securing a future, because that person now has a child who can say, I have a home for sure. Nobody can run me off this land. This is mine.
And the other one you said was the housing initiative.
And the housing initiative. The housing initiative is a program that has benefited young people in the same ages as Danielle and myself, and I'm sure you, because you can't be over 30. We have on the top of my head, I can think of 3 young ladies from Abaco, ages 22, 26, and 28, who received deeds to their land. This program is one that is selling sizable lots for no more than $20,000 with all utilities already installed. Now, those lots can be valued, or are valued much more than $20,000. You can't find a lot in the Bahamas that's valued $20,000.
Nothing you can build on.
Nothing you can build on. And these are, there are commercial lots as well as residential lots. Commercial in Nassau, and residential and commercial in Nassau, but residential throughout the Family Islands. And something that really struck home with me that I don't think a lot of people appreciate, the Prime Minister, he hit on in his last meeting down in Inagua. The Attorney General, along with the Office of the Attorney General, is working on a bill to put in place, not a bill, but a caveat with this, that land cannot be sold to foreigners. This land cannot be sold to foreigners. So if I get this crown land, I can't sell it to a foreigner. I can sell it only to a Bahamian. If it's the case where it's for, say, a hotel to expand, it cannot be sold but leased. This is something that was never done and never corrected in this country before. You have situations where crown land is being given to foreign entities or foreigners. That should never happen, because crown land is for Bahamian citizens.
Interesting. Danielle, from your perspective, what would you say are the things you're most proud of that this government has done?
I mean, I think the thing that I'm most proud of is the free tuition. When a lot of persons graduate from school, they cannot afford to go to UB or BTVI. And for you to offer free tuition to institutions of learning, that is the base to ensure that you have people that are more equipped to go into society. Let's be honest, not everybody sometimes struggle managing that 2 point. So having that 2 point grade average as your base, I think is an excellent initiative, because let's be honest, when we go on the job, who's going to ask you what grade point average you graduated with?
People criticized that, and they said you dumbed it down because a 2.5 was, something that shouldn't be that hard to achieve.
I don't think they dumbed it down. We have to look at the realities of life. You have persons that have children, you have persons that have demanding jobs, you have persons that have to work 2 jobs to support their household. So I don't think that's dumbing it down. I think that's making it more feasible and more easier for persons to access. And that leads us into why we're having the main points for this convention, and that is education, employability, and entrepreneurship.
What has the party done a good enough job in speaking to those things that are positive? Or have you lost a lot of what's happening in the noise? It's coming from the critics and the opposition, and spending so much time just responding to criticisms.
I think that the reason we're here right now is to highlight those things. So for the person who may ask, or someone who may think that the party has lost the ability to harp on those positive stuff, it would be more contradictory, because a part of us being at this convention is to not only highlight those things, but also go further into policies or even more positive things that are on the horizon. So I don't think that the party has lost sight. I think it's only beginning.
Okay, folks, we're at the point of our first break in the show. Stay with us. We are coming to you from the site of the Torchbearers Convention here at the Malia. We're back on the record right after this.
where in the world is Matt Lauer? Where in the world is Ellison Green Slade? And so it's about the low
Listen,
value of cottage in Atlanta. So we can talk about it.
More on the record tonight, the government's purchase of the Grand Buchanan is a hot subject in the news.
This portion of On the Record is brought to you by Generali Insurance Company Limited, your employee benefit specialist.
And we are back on location here with On the Record. 2 weeks ago, we sat in this very room as the opposition PLP held a national convention. Now we're back with another round of convention coverage here on The Record. Our guests are coming from the Torchbearers Youth Association as they prepare to begin their convention here today. Danielle Miller is the convention committee chair, along with Mitchell Thurston. He is the Eastern District Association's chairman, as well as a speaker here at the convention. All is not well in the country. We spent a lot of time in the first half speaking about what was done well. I mean, and I'm not going to create any illusions. All is not well. There are a lot of disgruntled Bahamians upset by some of the policies taken by this government. And we're not going to delude ourselves and deny that. How do you respond to those critics? How do you respond to those people who say, hey, I voted for you, but I'm not happy?
Right. So I think the most pressing or most disappointing policy that has been carried out so far has probably been the VAT increase.
I could probably say it is the most,
Right.
yeah.
And to that, as someone who also has to endure that VAT increase, I keep in mind that we got there for a reason. It ain't just come because they just want to tax us, you know? One thing that bothers me is we have a opposition or a previous administration who carried out VAT, made much more than they anticipated in their first quarter, but didn't do what they said they were going to do. So we still don't know where the VAT money gone, because the budget deficit wasn't paid down, things wasn't fixed, there wasn't any new generators or new engines bought for BPL, and all of those things are things that we endure today. And I carry on to what I think is probably the most vexing situation currently. BPL's, I would call it a travesty, because that's what it is. And it's disappointing. I won't say it's not. It's upsetting and it's vexing. But the realities of the matter is, this wasn't something that was born overnight. This wasn't something that this administration did. This wasn't something that I would say the previous administration did. This has been years, generations of inaction, because you have a power plant and generators and engines that have not been replaced from the 1960s and 70s. So that's like having a car, but you expect to drive your antique car without giving it antique service.
So, a couple things here. People were angry with the VAT because they were broadsided. They didn't know it was coming. We were really just adjusting to the introduction.
Agreed.
When you've got, you know, an increase almost overnight. You go into a budget debate without knowing, and boom, it's announced that it's coming. That's one.
Right.
Secondly, in the case of BPL, the story keeps changing. The finish line keeps moving. You know, from a consumer's perspective, it took me a long time to even understand what was happening, and I do this for a living. People just felt like they were duped and continue to be duped. I mean, I get it. We're going to suffer. But people felt as if and continue to feel like they were not told the truth, or weren't given the proper picture.
So I'll go to BPL situation first. Like I said, this is something that annoys all of us. Danielle and I, when we speak about it all the time with our power off, hoping that our phone don't die by the time we finish talking. Goalpost moving, or finish line moving. We live in an evolving world. So we have things that happen all the time. And that may sound, saying that may sound very arbitrary. I remember when the generators were first said that they were coming, you know? And people were saying, oh, they just saying that generators ain't even bad and nothing. But they're here. And when they landed, it took them a while to get it to Clifton Pier because we had a spree of bad weather. So, and these generators are huge, only can move 2 miles per hour. So that then pushed everything back because they can't start the process without them being out of Clifton Pier. So that right there contributed at least a week, 2, maybe 3, to pushing the goalpost back. Furthermore, we could probably, and I say we, but they can probably just put something together and slap it together. But why do something rushy, not done properly, that has to go back and be fixed, rather than something done properly one time and the situation is resolved? With the VAT increase, I look at it as the policymakers saying we need to make a decision now before it gets too late. Since then, you see the hundreds of millions of dollars that have been paid on the deficit. This now takes us away from being in the hands of the IMF and World Bank. And I think that it was better us do it then than not do it at all, or wait too long to do it and we be in a deeper hole and get downgraded more.
Are you worried that, or concerned that issues like the VAT increase, BPL, and here lately a controversy over the post office lease to the Seminette-owned Town Center Mall, are you concerned that these issues can come back and be real impediments going into the next election?
No.
You don't? Why not?
The reason why I don't think so is because, let's take for instance BPL, major issue. For years, like Mitchell has mentioned, we've just put a Band-Aid on things, and that's what we've done with so many things in this country, and that is why over time, you let that fester and fester and fester without stitching that up, the wound is gonna get bigger. So at this point in time, at this point in our lives in 2019, we can't put a Band-Aid on the wound anymore. We have to stitch that up. So with BPL, we have to get those generators in place. And once we get those generators in place, next year, next summer, when these load sheddings don't happen, then persons would be happy, because then they would now begin to understand that, hey, we needed to get this fixed. It couldn't be a Band-Aid situation anymore. And that's one thing about our society. We want a quick fix. And that's what we've lived off of for years. So when actual processes now have to come in place, we'll be disgruntled for a while. But once it's fixed, then we're content.
So I buy that. BPL could settle if everything goes according to plan. We could be okay, by early next year. But the VAT increase isn't going away, and it doesn't appear the Seminette situation is going to die down anytime, or it's going to be lingering. Post office is in the mall. It's not going anywhere for a while. These are issues that are going to haunt you.
So, with the VAT increase again, I'll say that I'll liken it to us being downgraded. We had 6 downgrades, not 5. People say 5. It was 6 downgrades in the last administration. And some may say, how does that help me? What does that do with me? If something was to happen and we need to borrow some money,
All of us are affected.
all us suffer. We then take ourselves away, take our decision making away from the IMF. You look at, for example, Jamaica today. Jamaica had go to IMF in their time of need, and now their dollar is what? 100 to 1, probably even less. We wouldn't have that issue. We trying to maintain our economy, keep a strong dollar, and allow every Bahamian to say, you know what? We good. We ain't got to worry, but we ain't got to become like some other people in the Caribbean. We're going to maintain one of the strongest economies in the Caribbean and have our decision-making power in our own hands. With the post office issue, you have to remember that the previous administration, they were looking at Town Center Mall. That's a fact. They contacted the Seminette family and the owners of the Town Center Mall to go there. They did that, even though they decided that in the end they want to go across the road. They contacted the Seminette family, and that was their decision, even though now in the public they're saying why that area, Gladstone Road, was much better. But that wasn't what your studies say. Your studies said that central location is the best location. If it didn't, you would have went to Phil's instead of going across the road from Town Center Mall. The same Town Center Mall that you were looking into going into. So, and I look at it, and I think that that's something that the Bahamian people will realize it benefited all of us in the long run.
And once they see the economic growth, at the end of the day, it's all about economic growth for persons. Let me see where my money is going.
Final-
Let me see that it's being effectively put in place.
Final question in this segment. Frederick McAlpine, an outspoken critic of the Prime Minister and the government, says this convention is being used by all members to answer the PLP, and he calls it sad. How do you respond?
Not so.
I think it's disappointing that Mr. McAlpine takes that approach. Danielle, committee chair. Danielle is someone in her mid-20s. I am a 23-year-old young man, and I'm someone who is speaking at this convention, putting things that I feel come from my heart So I look at that also. I look at that honestly as an insult, because if I'm there giving you how I feel about this country, why you say it's old people? Yes, we have some cabinet ministers, but we have all other speakers with the omission of one under the age of 30.
And the committee board for
All
the convention,
TY.
all are under the age of 30, with the exception of one that is 35. And of course, we had the party chairman as advisor, but he literally sat back and let us take the reins. So it's really been TYA.
Right.
So I want to first of all congratulate you for pulling this all together. It can't be easy with so many moving parts. So, you know, Danielle, hats off to you as the
Thank
committee
you.
chair.
Thank you.
Great job. Good
Thank
to pull
you.
it together. Mitchell, all the best to you.
Thank you, sir.
As you prepare to take the speaker's lecture later on. Thanks so much. Thank you for stopping by. Stay with us. On the Record will continue. We've got more guests right after this. Hello and welcome to On the Record, a debate-style television talk show where Bahamians will find the balanced, true, and open debate they've been looking for.
And the icon goes to On the Record.
On the Record was born out of a desire to do something different. What we do every day helps our country, it helps our society, it helps to shape the views and opinions.
Listen, what is more dangerous than corruption?
We've got to move
is
very
the
quickly.
illusion
Let's
of
wrap up.
integrity.
It's all On the Record. I'm your host, Jerome Sawyer. Our discussion begins on the other side of this break. And we are back on location here on the Record. We're at the Malia All-Inclusive Resort on Cable Beach for the Torchbearers Youth Association's 2019 convention. It's going to be quite an exciting 2 days, packed with a number of speakers speaking to a number of issues. I'm joined in this segment now with two new guests. Hannah Miller, she's the Assistant Secretary General of the association, also involved with the UB Association, which we're going to talk about, and Thomas Barnett, who is the TYA trustee, correct? And they tell me, say, you're the grandfather in all of this. You've been around a good little while. Okay, I can lend you some of this gravy when it's over. So let's, either one of you can take this. Why? And you're not involved in what we would call frontline politics, in that, not as a candidate, but you're involved and you're in a very visual, role in the party. Why was it necessary for you to get involved? Why did you feel the need to become involved?
For me, country is very important. I grew up around a family that took the values of family and country seriously. So from a very early age, I decided that I wanted to, in some way, get involved, and not necessarily frontline, like you say, but what people don't understand is that these organizations, the only way that they function is by the people who are in the back, who will be able to do the knocking and the dirty work, right? And when I say dirty work, not in a bad way, but the countless nights, the early mornings, the heavy lifting,
yes,
correct?
The heavy lifting.
So I decided to come and join the association. They had a chapter for us, young people. It was very, very vibrant, very active. Even 10 odd years ago when I was here, right? And it's always consistently been an active organization. It's always consistently been an organization that helped and encouraged youth to grow and form. So that's why I wanted to be a part, and that's why I decided to be in the Torchbearers.
Hannah, you're a part of the UB Association.
Yes.
Now that's, when I first saw it, when I got the guest list, I thought the UB Association. Explain that.
Torchbearers Youth Association, UB chapter, we decided to form it one day in our executive meeting when we discussed how to bring UB students more into the organization. So we said, you know, our general body meetings are usually held on school nights, Wednesday at 7 p.m., the last Wednesday of each month. So we said, you know what, why don't we take the organization to the students? And TYUB has been going very well. We had countless events. We've had a marijuana forum where we had a return quest. We had Joey Gaskins. We also had a Bahamian who lives in California who has a dispensary. He came over and he spoke to the students as well. We had debates. We did community service. We also did an event called a sweet giveaway with UBTYA, where after midterm break, when the students came back, we gave away little trinkets and notes to try and encourage them to push to the end, because everyone knows when midterm is over,
that's a rough time. Yeah. Well, what has been the response on the campus? Because, you know, a university campus is usually made up of organizations that do not necessarily have a political affiliation. While some, you may have a political science club or you may have a debate club, it's not necessarily a place where you find a political organization. So I'm curious as to what has been the response.
The response has been mixed, but I believe the response has been more on the positive side. When we first started TYAUB, I wasn't expecting a good response, because a lot of young people nowadays aren't into political parties. They just want the job done.
Yes.
They don't care who's in power. But we have a good membership. I was totally surprised. Our membership, they are very supportive. If you say, okay guys, what is an idea that you want to have on campus? And they'll be like, okay, what do we need? How do we get it done? And I believe we have over a dozen members in TYUB in our first academic year on campus. And it's been very, very good.
Okay, and this is to either of you. Are you satisfied that the FNM is responding, the FNM government is responding adequately to the needs of young Bahamians?
Without question. Without question. From our first convention, you know, we had a discussion with leadership going into the election about what would be needed for support, what would young people would want and need to help grow in this country. They've taken the information that we've given them and to the best of their ability been able to apply those positions. We can look at a number of things. We can look at the opportunity for land. We can look at small business. We can look at free education. There's a number of things that they've decided to do that's directly impactful for young people. So I think that they've done a lot, and with another 8 years, they'll do a lot more.
What does a future secured, your theme here, mean for the unemployed, undereducated young Bahamian who feels that they have no place in the Bahamas? You talk about a future secured, but let's be honest, there are thousands of young people out there who don't feel like they have a future. So how does this theme relate to them?
What I like to say when I hear questions like that is, one, this problem isn't unique to the Bahamas. So I don't want people to feel as though that they can pick up and just go anywhere and automatically assume that there's going to be some sort of greater reaction to whatever skill that they have, right? But two, we are securing a future, but a lot of people don't know, and that's what this convention is about. There are a lot of programs that we have that can help a lot of people. The issue is that the message sometimes falls on deaf ears, right? And sometimes it doesn't even get there. So with a platform like this, with this youth convention, we have an opportunity to in the day sessions, explain the party's position, what we're doing, how we're going to do it, and with our membership, spread that word around the country, as well as in the night sessions, have dynamic speakers, young people, majority young people, as well as ministers who directly impact youth in the country, speak to what's going on, what's happening, what have we done. So yeah, there are people who are struggling. I'm not going to dispute that, but there are a number of options that a lot of people just aren't taking advantage of, and probably because they don't know.
And piggybacking off of what he's saying, A Future Secured is basically, you could commend the government because they're giving opportunities with the different programs like Thomas was speaking about, the Be Your Own Boss program, the Be Inspired program, the Small Business Development Center, SBDC, and even the free tuition at UB are opportunities. And the hashtag Access Granted is because access is now given to everybody. Anyone can apply for these grants. Anyone could apply for the Be Your Own Boss or Be Inspired, and anyone can now apply to BTVI or the University of the Bahamas. They've made it more accessible because now instead of the GPA requirement being 3 point, they've made it 2 point. And if you fall below the 2 point, they give you a semester to get back to the 2 point because the 2 point GPA is a minimum to graduate with a bachelor's degree. So they've given everyone an opportunity to be an entrepreneur and be educated.
Outside of the programs that you have spoken to, which are important and significant, is the party and is the government also hearing the other concerns of young Bahamians? Because while these things are important, we are as a country facing a myriad of issues relative to our young people. Are you getting, are they, the people in a position to do something, are they getting the message?
I honestly believe they are, because in TYA we've set up different district associations so we can have our ear to the ground to hear the concerns, which is very important. And then the TYA Executive Board, we sit with the Prime Minister, and then we also have 3 council members, 2 council members and 1 executive member that speaks to the council at the end of every month. So the message is being relayed, but as we know, everything takes time. Nothing happens overnight. So I think the message is getting there. It's just taking time for the solution to be brought to the people.
Thomas, this isn't your first time at the rodeo. Are you concerned that in this time that it's taking and the people talk about the misery index that's rising and unemployment, are you concerned that the party is steadily losing support? I mean, we're still a ways out from the election, but it's never too early. Are you concerned that you have lost significant support and continue to lose that support?
I'm not concerned that we've lost significant support. What I've noticed over the years, especially being in politics, is that incumbent governments in general have a hard time, right? Another thing that I've also noticed is that our country seems to have this want for a microwave effect, right? Where you want someone to be in position, want someone to be in power, and want results right away. There are things that I'm sure you can do for things to happen automatically, but some of the issues that we have are deep, right? Systematic issues. Those kind of things we have to take. It's going to take some time to deal with. So I'm sure that over the next couple of years, once the time is coming down closer to the next election, people will start to feel, see, and know exactly what we're doing.
Elections are still a ways out.
And I like to say that it's only been 2 years.
2 years.
2.5. Yeah. 2 years. It might sound like some time, but when we talk about those real changes, deep changes that we want to make, 2 years is a very short period of time. So we're going to take some time to. It's going to take some time to deal with that.
But you mentioned something that a lot of people speak of. That governments sometimes think in 5-year cycles, and that's not a good thing because while an election is in 5 years, our lifespan
is much
longer than and we're looking now at a country that's well over 40, well over 40, and if we're still thinking in 5-year cycles, that can't be good news for young people.
No, it's a difficult situation, and that's generally how it is with democracies, right? Where the intention is to be in power to make change, right? So with the election cycles being 5 years, other countries even less, 4 years, we tend to try and do things in an automatic, very short stint, but there are things that we have to do that will take longer than that time. So hopefully we can have a balance, have a mix of making some people or a lot of people happy within the 5 years to be able to get elected, but as well as using that additional 5 years to get some real change and things done.
Are you concerned about how crime is affecting young people, your generation?
Yes, I am. I believe crime is becoming more prevalent because of the lack of jobs and because everyone is trying to make it in life. I think social media has a big part to do with it as well, because everyone is trying to, floss and pretend. Yeah, exactly. So that's why the amount of house breakings and robberies they're becoming greater. But hopefully, I don't like to make crime, politicize crime.
Sure.
Because
and that's a good thing.
Yes, because it's a societal issue. So we'll have to change it. We'll have to work together as a country to combat it.
But the reality is it does become a political issue.
Yeah.
And it becomes a political issue when it's up and when it's down.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Because when it's down, as this government has said, crime is down.
Right. Right. It automatically becomes a political issue. But in terms of crime, my attitude towards it is it's always been a situation for education and to push it for things that we've been doing. For starters, between the preschool initiatives, as high up to UB, dealing with education, dealing with understanding, dealing with people. We're hoping that these kind of things, education, jobs, will be able to decrease and we need to have.
Folks, we've got to take our final break in the show. You're watching On the Record. We're on location at the Torch Bearers 2019 convention. We're back for that next break. Hello and welcome to On the Record, and the balanced, true and open debate you've been looking for. This is the final segment of our show, coming to you from the Malia side of the Torch Bearers Youth Association's 2019 convention. I'm your host, Jerome Sawyer, along with guests Hannah Miller and Thomas Barnett. Are you satisfied that enough is being done to encourage business development in the country? And the reason I brought up business development is that because, economists and people involved in business tell us that really small business, small to medium-sized business is the engine which runs the economy. Coming into the election, there was a lot said about encouraging business growth. Are you satisfied that enough is being done?
I am very satisfied enough being done. For myself, I am a small businessman. I have an operation that's going on in Atlantis right now, as well as one or two smaller things. But the difference between doing business 5 years ago to today is night and day. The turnover time it takes to get business licenses, the decrease in fees in order to get a new business up and running, as well as access to knowledge, access to people who can help. So for example, the SPDC, in order to get grants, you have to go through a training program, right? And that training program goes from everything from accounts to marketing, right? And so I think that there are a lot being done. It's just a matter of people willing to accept the help and get the access.
What areas would you like to see more focus given to by this government?
I believe we need to have more education reform. I'm studying education myself. I'm pursuing my degree in education, English language and literature. I believe something has to be done with the curriculum inside the schools. It's really outdated, really outdated. We need to modernize it because students are losing interest. Students aren't coming to school. Some students aren't coming to school to learn anymore. So once we reform the curriculum and make it more appealing to the upcoming generations, I think we'll see our national grade average go up. we will see more students get involved in more extracurricular activities too, be more contribute more to society.
One of the things that the FNM campaigned on was a platform that the PLP was corrupt and was involved in corrupt activities. Now that same assertion is being thrown back at the FNM. Are you concerned that that is gaining momentum, that they have a leg to stand on?
I don't believe so. I don't believe so. The politics in and of itself, like I say, been here for a long time. I've always seen the back and forth. I've seen the allegations of corruption. I've seen the allegations of just not people not doing their jobs. Oppositions do what oppositions do. FNM did what they're supposed to do in opposition. PLP does what they're supposed to do in opposition. But I do believe that the government currently is doing an excellent job in fighting any sort of urges to have any sort of underground dealing or under table dealings, and they're doing a good job in trying to just move the country forward.
Well, you've got time to see how it's going to play out. Are you concerned that the opposition is gaining momentum?
No, but like I said earlier, it's always hard on incumbent governments, right? Sure. So as soon as you reach in power, you are the person with the pen, you're the person to blame, right? It's easy for current governments who are sitting to gradually lose momentum, and it's easy for governments who aren't, not governments, but oppositions who aren't, to gain momentum. That seems to be the look, but I believe closer to election, we will have a balanced debate against the current leadership of the FNM, the current leadership of the PLP, what they have done, what solutions they plan on bringing, what we have done, and what we bring to the table, and what we can do to move forward. So I believe closer to the election, we'll have a more balanced idea and approach to, in general to the country of who has momentum and who doesn't.
Involving yourself in politics at any level can be a risk. People will seek to discredit you because they do not approve the side in which you are supporting, do not agree with your views. Yet, the reality is we need more young people to get involved.
Correct.
You all really are a conduit to change.
Correct.
What do you say to those out there who want to serve their country, who want to get involved, but are nervous for a number of reasons because of what this can do? I mean, you will pay on this show tonight, and you know you can get it.
I don't know if you want to answer, but
well, both of you.
I think, I honestly believe that our generation is a different generation. I can't speak for Hannah, but I can speak for myself, where I have extremely close friends who sit on the opposite side, who don't agree with anything that I say. They don't agree with any defense that I have of the government whatsoever, but we're very close friends and we have heated debates, and I respect their views and they respect mine. I believe that as soon as it's our time, and when I say our time, not necessarily us, I'm not interested, but when it's our generation, it will be a more leveled, healthier discussion when it comes to politics. I want people in general, young people, to be involved. I don't care which organization you're part of, FNM, PLP, DNA. I do think that the FNM has so much more to offer in comparison to other organizations, as well as our youth branch, which without question, anyone, even in their parties, other parties, can say is a vibrant youth organization. But I want people just to get involved in general. It doesn't matter who you are, what you're doing, but build the country.
Also, Hannah, I've got to ask you, I mean, people are out there who may want to be a part, but I mean, I was sort of leading into the question, I heard you saying, people will seek to discredit you, but what do you say to those out there who, for whatever reason, may have an interest, but just feel nervous or really don't want to put themselves out there?
Well, I can speak from my point of view because I'm a new member to the party. I've been in the party for 2.5 years. I still am nervous being in.
Wait till this show is.
I know, right? You know, coming into politics, I prefer to work inside the background.
Sure.
Because, you know, when you get into the forefront, whew, I'll probably hear some things about myself that I never knew existed. So, yes, I would love for more young people to join any organization, like Thomas said, whether it be political or non-political, because we need more young people, more fresh ideas to help us build our country, like we said, like Thomas said, because the old people are
older
and wiser, and wiser, and their ideas are not suitable for the time period that we're living in today.
And I agree
so we
with
need
you.
more modern ideas.
I agree with you. I'm a firm believer in that. I always believe in fresh blood. And I do want to take the opportunity to commend you, for becoming a part of a political organization and being, you know, vocal as a part of it. That's not an easy thing. You have a lot of people who stand in the background in the shadows and criticize and make a lot of noise, but aren't bold enough to stand with any political organization. So I commend you for that. And keep up. You know, the Bahamas need you. You know, and I like what you said, whether, you know, get involved with any political organization. Obviously, you all are leaning to a particular side. But it's important, I think, that we get involved so that the change comes from within.
Correct.
You know, it's not just a country that we need to change, it's our organizations that need to change. So I commend you for that, and all the best to you. I'd like to thank Hannah Miller and Thomas Barnett for sitting down with us.
Thank you.
Hannah, you're the sister of our Kyle Walken over at our news. I know you all know that.
Yeah.
That's my big brother.
So I'm sure he's watching with great interest tonight. Also, thanks to our earlier guests, Danielle Miller and Mitchell Thurston as well. Thank you to the organization for facilitating the request to host this show here today. All the best to you.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you for coming on. It's been a great show. So that's going to do it for this edition of On the Record. On behalf of my guests, my technical team, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.